Hello everyone. I'd like to wish the Indian audience a good afternoon and our European listeners a good morning. I'm very happy to have this webinar today on Smart Cities, the role of standards. My name is Jörg Gülen. I'm the Head of Operations at EBTC. And as we all know, Smart Cities is a huge topic right now. So very often we face the kind of questions, what are smart cities? How do we tap this potential? So EBTC as an organization, we're heavily focusing on the topic of smart cities, and we've got many activities planned. Now, just getting to the basics and the kind of understanding, I think this is going to be a great opportunity to see what kind of role standards play and how we define smart cities. So I'd like to give the microphone to my colleague Dinesh, who will start the webinar.
Thank you, Jörg. And very good morning and good afternoon to everybody who are attending this webinar. Thank you very much. As he pointed out, smart city is a big subject, a huge subject, and my colleague, head of delegation, Ms. Enya, she's here. So let me briefly introduce Ms. Enya before we give her the mic, and let's learn from her what all we can understand in such a available short time about the role of standards, which could play an important role on the smart cities. But before I introduce Anya, let's have some house rules. So all are muted right now. So mute if you're not muted, mute or unmute. There is an icon on this webinar tool, which you can see on the slide. And then at the end of this webinar, we will have a Q&A session, and the Q&A session will run like you'll have to raise a hand, and then we will go through that sequence of hand raising for the Q&A session. Then if you really want to see a view attendees, you can click that icon. And then if you are not able to speak, or if you do not have audio facilities, you can post a question in the note section, which is a post question for speaker staff. Okay. So now let me briefly introduce Ms. Anya Ogaquist. Ms. Anya is the permanent representative of the Policy Standardization Committee to the Smart and Sustainable Cities and Communities Standardization Coordination Group at the EU level, which is a coordination group between the three European standards organizations known as CEN, CENELEC, and IEC. She has also chaired the strategy group and member of the roadmap group in the EU Commission's Smart Cities Stakeholder Platform. As a recognized EU Smart Cities expert, Ms. Enya is the founder and managing director of the CAREX Group, which is an advisory working with the municipality in Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East, North Africa, within 5 smart city fields, covering energy, mobility, infrastructure, ICT, and security. In October 2014, her firm had introduced the first smart city standard, which is popularly known as now ISO 37120, published in 2014. It went into the policy system of standards. Ms. Enya is also the co-chair of the Marketing and Communication Committee at the American Chamber of Commerce in Poland. She lectures and publishes on business diplomacy, ISO 37120, smart cities, and urban innovation. She has 2 master's degrees in economics, policy analysis from the Scientific University of Strasbourg, and in European economics from the College of Europe in Bruges. In December 2013, she completed INSEAD Executive Education Program in Singapore. With that, let me welcome Ms. Enya and take on the session. As I said, okay, so there is a comment, loud microphone label. Okay, so we'll put the microphone little away from us to make sure it is clear and audible. Okay, with that, let me welcome Ms. Enya and take on from here. As I said, at the end of the webinar, we will go through the Q&A session. So let's all with you, Enya, please take on from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dinesh. Hello, everybody. My name is Anya Margaret Ogorkovich. It's wonderful to be here today in the capital of the largest democracy in the world. I will be presenting to you a lot of slides. This is going to be topic heavy. We have around 50 slides to go through. Some slides I will go through a little bit more quickly to leave time for the Q&A. You will, of course, have this presentation available to you after our webinar. And for any other further comments, I will refer you to Dinesh, who is our seconded expert of Sentinelec here in India. So let's begin.
Okay.
First of all, what is a smart city? We have all seen pictures that look like this. It's an urban environment, lots of different domains and subsystems. Often this looks futuristic. We see different types of domains being kind of linked together, from smart housing to vehicles to even healthcare. In a sense, the holy grail is how to link this together, how to make this work, and how to develop a new type of urban infrastructure for the 21st century. In general, a smart city can be realized as having three large components. One is that it has to have a certain type of economic viability. People, citizen well-being is also key within an urban context. And finally, the idea of sustainability and environment can no longer be ignored in the 21st century. There's two contexts that I would like to explore here, and to definitely show you how similar we are in many ways between the EU and India. In the EU, we see the cities as the driving forces in generating our wealth. Cities are expected to deliver much more services, more wealth, more jobs, more well-being, to alleviate poverty. This happens within cities. We see that there is a need for a certain global holistic approach to the challenges that our urban areas are facing. And because of this, the EU has decided, the European Commission, to put a little pool of money, 200 million euros, to develop smart cities in the upcoming years. And one of the largest, one component of these funds is earmarked for smart city standardization. Indian context is very similar. Cities are also the driving forces in generating Indian growth. They're also expected to engage more and more services and to provide jobs and alleviate poverty. There is also a very pressing need for a holistic approach to city management, to what cities can offer for the Indian citizen. And we know that India is expected to invest into 100 new smart cities in the next few years. The only question we have is whether standardization will be a part of this investment package. All right. For today's session, I'm going to propose to you, this is going to be my agenda. Please don't worry if it seems like a very, like a lot of work. After a little introduction about why develop smart city standards and why standards are important for smart cities, two separate issues, I'm going to go through what is the European standardization model. The international context, we have seen that standardization has been basically separated into each large standardization body has their own working group. I will show you that the European standardization model is based around the coordination group, which I am a representative here today. We coordinate this commonly so that our approach to smart cities is identical across the whole 27 countries which make up the EU. After this, I will show how a national standardization body, the Polish Standardization Institute, fits into the smart cities coordination group at the EU level. Within point 2, I will show you the adoption of the first smart city standard, the first global smart city standard, ISO 37120 to Poland. I will also show you an example of an open source smart city architecture, which is the project Acre. And then I will finish the presentation with the actions and objectives for our smart city coordination group in 2015-2016. Yep, okay. So, European standards evaluation. I will go quickly through this slide. We are seeing an evaluation of standards. It started with food, it started with quality. We're seeing in 2010, 2020, standards in terms of services, system of systems, system innovations, and also near market innovations. So why develop smart city standards? Lots of benefits. Lots of benefits also in terms of interoperability and process management. But most importantly, we develop smart city standards because standards will create smart cities. this is key to underline. Smart cities will not happen by themselves. They will be based on certain standards, both technical, operational, and societal. International standard organizations have realized this, of course, and they have started organizing themselves. In the next few slides, I'll explain to you how the 3 largest international standards organizations have organized themselves. Okay, great. So, 3 global standards organizations, ISO, IEC, and ITU. ISO has created a technical committee. It's technical committee number 268. I will explain in the next few slides exactly how this works, give you a harmonogram of the inside structures. IEC has done what we call a systems evaluation group. IEC previously worked on the smart grid grid-rise structure, which is considered a general standard in the smart grid world, and it has taken the smart grid processes into the smart city framework. And finally, the ITU has a focus group on smart sustainable cities, which I'll also explain very quickly. ISO. ISO TC268 is divided as shown. As you know, it's an international body. The chairman of the general TC268 is a chairman from France. He is Mr. Jean-Félix, and he is also the chairman of the European standardization body, which is interesting, which means that the European standardization body, the European coordination group, is very well linked with ISO in terms of its development of the system, in terms of its TC268. There are 2 working groups in TC268. One works on management systems, the second one on the global city indicators. For the people who have followed the development of smart city standards, the first smart city standard, ISO 37120, has been published in May 2014 by the Working Group 2, and it is called the Global City Indicators. There is also a subcommittee within the TC268. This subcommittee, the chairman is from Japan, and it works on smart city infrastructure. And indeed, in the pipeline, we see new international standards being already discussed in terms of smart infrastructure and smart technical buildings. The main takeaway from ISO, from the TC268 committee, is that we have the first smart city standard, which is called Sustainable Development and Resilience of Communities, Indicators for City Services and Quality of Life, which has been published and which has changed the game in terms of smart city standards. We will develop this in upcoming slides. Three standards are being developed in-house, so I can tell you more or less that there are working title names. When they become standards, they may change the names in terms of how we vote. What's most interesting that we have the smart community infrastructure, infrastructure metrics, and a type of management systems. We believe the management systems, the smart management systems will be published at either the end of 2015 or beginning of 2016, and the rest will follow 2016 onwards. The IEC, the International Electrotechnical Committee, has been the key working factor for the smart grids, and they have therefore 7 working groups that work on smart cities. You can see the names right here. It's very interesting that they're using the city of Johannesburg as a test case, as it were, since they have identified it as a megalopolis in a rapidly emerging country, which they are using as a benchmark for smart city standards in a I'll allow myself to call this in a real world situation. There you go. Okay, so the IEC is key, and it's worth noting that they have developed if I dare say, a brilliant smart grid infrastructure, and they're using this infrastructure view to develop smart cities along the same lines. The ITU is the International Telecommunications Union, has a focus group also on smart and sustainable cities. The 4 working groups are as follows. They are working more on terms of how the telecommunications world fits into the mobile telecommunications world fits into the smart city standards. And they are indeed another international global standard, which is another international global organization which is working on smart city standards. In Europe, Our Sentinelec ETSI, the three main European bodies, have came together to create a coordination group, and we see that on the international sphere, most work in smart cities have been put into separate working groups with little or non-sufficient amount of communication between them, so that at the EU level we do not find each other, we do not find ourselves working on the same issues in different silos. We have created a coordination group, and our coordination group works with the main ISOs, the main IECs, the main ITUs, basically standard development organs. However, within Europe, we've decided for a common European standardization strategy. Okay, let me get a breather. The Smart and Sustainable Cities and Communities Coordination Group started 2012. ETSI joined in 2014, which is why, as you see on the bottom right-hand side of the slide, you see the three logos of the three main European standardization organizations, CEN, Senelec, and ETSI. The secretariat is Mr. Jean-Félix. He's a Frenchman. He is also the chairman of ISO's TC268. We have three ad hoc groups which have been done to create to move forward the work within our European coordination group. 44 members and observers, city networks, and energy providers, of course, every single standardization body from Europe, partner organizations, members with interest, the executive, the European Commission. They come, we discuss this. We want to be the roundtable discussion for smart cities at the European level. Our terms of reference gives us a large scope. We coordinate, but we do not elaborate. This is key to understanding this. We do not elaborate standards. We coordinate standards. We make proposals, recommendations. We advise the European Commission. We advise our national bodies. And we also try to understand what is happening in the ISO, IEC, and ITU, the deliverables and activities which are happening on the multinational level, bringing it down to Europe. We have had certain types of deliverables, a roadmap, recommendations that have been delivered at the end of 2014. And from the end of 2014, we've been given a new mandate for 2015 and 2016. My presentation will end with a new mandate that we've been given for future activities. We work on consensus, strategic coordination, technical coordination. What is key is that we are in synergy with the European Commission's initiative on smart cities, which is called the European Innovation Partnership. In fact, to this European Innovation Partnership, we have proposed to support them in creating a common framework. And our commitment has been given a number, basically, and it has been tableized as the commitment to develop a common reference framework for smart cities, showing what is a smart city in the EU and how we as the standards organization, or we as the coordination group of the standards organization, can add to the policy level. Okay, stop. Thank you. So this was basically what we have done as an international European coordination group. I'm going to spend a few slides speaking now how a national coordination body engages in this European coordination group. What have we done in Poland? How has ISO 37120 been accepted in Poland? What was the processes? And also, here will be an opportunity to explain a type of smart city architecture which is being financed by an international consortium of 120 companies, but based in Poland. So, how a national standards organization fits within the Smart and Sustainable Cities and Cities and Communities Coordination Group, the example of the PKN. At the end of 2013, we set it up. What's important is this is for the first time in the history of the Polish Committee for Standardization that we have this type of very loose mirror group that mirrors the work of the Coordination Committee at the EU level. A very renowned professor of electrotechnical studies has been named the chairman. We have an amazing coordinator who is Ms. Alicia Haras. I give her contact details here, who is really the éminence grise, as they say in French, of smart cities in Poland. And I have been asked to be the permanent representative of Poland to the European SSCC CG. Our members and our methods are very similar to what is suggested at the EU level. This is why we are a mirror group, and we are not created. So we are a mirror group, and we're not creating standards by themselves. Our terms of references suggest that we must promote the work realized at the EU level within Poland. We must give the opinions on the standards being discussed at the EU level back in Poland, and to adopt both Polish standardization bodies to the realities which are being discussed at the EU, and hopefully also to feed into what we have done, what's being discussed at the EU level. What's exciting is that we have adopted the first smart city standard in Poland. I have to say also that I received an email this morning, the email was from Mrs. Alicia Haras that I've spoken about before to tell me that we have adopted. We went through the process of adoption. I'll show you the process. It has been fast forwarded, and we have adopted the standard. In fact, yesterday, Monday, 16th. Of March, so many things here will have to be updated, as it were, for the Smart City Summit, which I'm attending tomorrow, as it were. All right, this is a short resume of what is ISO 37120. To give you a good backgrounder for those that have not read the document, it's 100 indicators. These are indicators on city services, which means we're talking about the response time. For instance, we're talking about the response time of the fire department to an emergency call. We're talking about education or levels of education. These 100 services of a city have been divided into 47 core indicators. So core means that they are obligatory. If you want to be certified, ISO certified smart city, you must follow the 47 core indicators. And 54 indicators are supporting, which gives more wealth, as it were, to the document that you prepare as your smart city. Within also ISO 37120, when you read the standard, you'll see that there is a very clear description of how to report the indicators and also where to get the data from. The 18 themes of the ISO 37120 are explained within the egg graphic. I encourage you to read the document. It's a fantastic and it's a fascinating piece of work. Go ahead. So, I have to say, last October, the ISO 37120 has been, my company, the Carex Group, made the official request to introduce ISO 37120 into the Polish system of standards, so that we have an international standard already on our already in our system, or at least as soon as possible. There has been lots of media coverage about this, so yeah. And lots of this media coverage focused on how this is going to become a revolution for city management, for basically the mayors and the regional administrators. Okay, this is one. This is me, and this is one of the articles that was written in Portal Samorządowy. Portal Samorządowy is the main internet portal that has to do with regional issues and city issues. The title of this article is Smart Cities. This standard will be a revolution for city leaders. Okay. On this slide, I want to show you three things. One is how this looks in practice. How does one adopt a standard within a national body? From the very beginning, you see two columns. First column is the planned, the expected time of adoption of these processes. There's about 12 of them to adopt a standard. And on the second column is the time where it finished, in reality, where this has been accepted, signed, and passed on the document to the next desk, as it were. Two things I want to bring to your attention. One is that this is a web page which is available to all. There's a high level of transparency in this, which is very commendable. Anyone can come check to see the status of this. And in fact, if you find this web page, click into it, and you see the status, you will most likely find that the second column has been entirely filled up, and the last date is of yesterday, because we have accepted this Smart City standard yesterday. For my keynote speech tomorrow, I will update this. Why have we done this? Why have we accepted this? Why have we decided to promote this ISO in Poland? Mainly because we found that there are several cities which are working on high-level technical system smart city softwares which need a strong standards framework. They have accepted this. They've welcomed this. They are part of our mirror group, which is meeting in Warsaw. And one of these examples, which I will show to you in the next few slides, is an example of smart city architecture. So this is a reason why we have standards. I'm going to explain to you something which is based on software engineering. This may be a little bit technical. Please bear with me. We'll go through this very quickly. If you have any other further questions, I will refer to you to Dinesh. The project that I will explain to you, it's called Project Acre, Adaptive Cooperative Control in Urban Subsystems. It's a multinational project. It has the largest ITC cluster in Poland, 140 companies which are involved in this. It is basically most municipalities along the Baltic Sea region, or the Baltic Sea region, are members. So both cities and engineers have come together to discuss how to best create a smart city platform. The first versions of the ACES are ready, and there has been indeed a lot of memorandum of cooperation signed with Gdańsk and the main partner, which is Interhorizon. This is what it looks like in practice. What you see in front of you is a system of systems view. Let me go through this quickly so that you understand what you're looking at. In the middle, the ACES integration and coordination platform is what's called, in engineering terms, an urban operating system. This is the operating system that will make that other services and applications are added onto. Below, you see there are three large domains: mobility, energy, public space domain. You can add in probably not an infinite amount of domains. I think the engineers were grown here, but enough so that, well, basically, the urban operating system has to be flexible enough to be able to integrate as many domains as is necessary per city. Within these domains, you see subsystems, you see subsystems applications, and basically you see a fairly good idea of what a smart city application, basically a system of system, looks like. So the urban operating system, this is going to be an example, may work within, for instance, several domains: energy, buildings, mobility. How does this happen in practice? There is a feedback loop going on. Okay, great. What you see here is that there is an information sent to give more energy to a certain part of to the charging systems. Let's say the electrical vehicle charging platforms of a certain part of the city. There's a feedback loop going back. Has there been enough energy brought in? Basically, you see that this operating system functions on a level which it functions on a level which allows it, first of all, on the very bottom, to adopt what we call legacy subsystems. We're not going to change the whole mobility, we're not going to change the buildings, we're not going to change the whole energy subsystem, but we are going to adopt the way they communicate to a general nervous system, which would be the ITC. And once we have adopted these legacy subsystems, we will create new interfaces, and we will create especially new types of standards to integrate them into the platform. Okay, so this is, okay, go ahead. Yep, perfect. This is the Acre pilot installation in Gdańsk. So these are the 10 subsystems which were proposed for the city of Gdańsk. Of course, different subsystems can be proposed for different cities. Gdańsk is a port, and it has a specification as such that it is basically by the water. It's actually 3 large cities. It's very similar to the Randstad city consortium in the Netherlands. The team that worked together to create this have decided to take 10 large subsystems, from road conditions to street lamps to building management, have an integrated system of systems in the middle, the operating system, and this is the pilot which is being done right now in the city of Gdańsk. The time frame is such that it has been installed in January 2015. This pilot will end on the 5th, in May 2016. After this pilot ends in May 2016, the city of Gdańsk has pledged the resources to both maintain the pilot version on a little neighborhood in the form of a smart city living lab, and also run this operating system as a mature and stable way to manage the city services. Now, what is key here? This smart city infrastructure that you have seen here, this technical software engineering piece of development, this is what keeps the smart city together. This is what keeps all the little domains that you see around this conceptualized version of a smart city working efficiently together. Now, what makes everything work together? What provides this interoperability if not standards? This is the most important takeaway I would like you to have from this webinar. We have thus several conclusions, objectives, and further actions for our general European-based coordination group in 2015-2016. We have realized 3 things. There is unfortunately a resistance to standards. Cities think it takes too much time. Cities thinks this is not worth the hassle. We have to develop a communication policy to explain that smart cities will not be built without standards. Secondly, we will publish a roadmap to help explain how complex the situation is and help explain what can be done and what can be made much easier with standards. Thirdly, we are the roundtable at Sentinel-ETSI. Our coordination group acts as the area where people, stakeholders from city associations to energy networks, come to the table, ask us about the standards, what can they do, what forward. We want to be the roundtable that sorts out the process, brings people together, and explains the benefit of this in the urban development context. We have 4 objectives. We want to promote the framework, promote stakeholder engagement, standardize both process and key domains, key standards, and most importantly, develop communication and promotion of smart city standards, because nothing else will make a smart city if not standards. All this goes to one large objective, which is my final slide, that the successful implementation of smart cities has to be supported by coordination, by a coordinated standardization policy. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to listen to you right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anya. Before we go for Q&A, let's hear from our colleague from European Business Technology Center in brief what they are doing on this topic of smart cities. I mean, of course, audience, you might be thinking that there is a lot when you think about smart city, because from an ICT point of view, there is a lot of technology integration, into the subject of smart city. We have not covered considering the paucity of the time, but I think we all are aware that we have smart grid, we have a health, we have a transport. All these verticals are actually getting integrated into the architecture, which Anya has explained it. So we did not cover that part of it. Like for example, machine to machine and IoT is going to be an integral component of this smart city as well, where you need to have a plug and play. But just to give you a brief about this, and if you have any question on that, we can take it up later. But from here, let me give it to my colleague to share briefly the EBTC. Mr. Tamil, please share, and then we go for the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Dinesh. Let me introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Tamil Selvan, the Business Development Executive of European Business and Technology Center in Delhi office. So let me get straight into the point. Right now, we are working on this brokerage event. It's called Smart Cities India 2015, which is actually happening in Smart Cities India 2015 exhibition and conference in Prahati Maidan from 20th to 22nd May. We are delighted to inform you that as Enterprise Europe Network India Consortium partner, which is EBTC, is organizing a brokerage event. This brokerage event is an international brokerage event providing platform for European and Indian SMEs to find technology cooperation and as well as business partnership, with access to selecting business-to-business meetings in advance by creating an online profile. So how this works is, this is an online profile, can be created on the platform called b2match.eu/Smart Cities India 2015. Let me repeat that again. It's called b2match.eu/Smart Cities India 2015. It's a very simple platform where any European and Indian company can register themselves by giving out the profile of the company and as well as the project of the company. And once you register, we can validate, and after validation, you are free to book business-to-business meeting predefined on the portal itself before you go and attend the B2B session. So this makes your life easy by booking the B2B meetings, and just 1 week before the event, we will send out the schedule according to the bookings you made, and all this is for free. So what you have to do is just go on to the link and register your company before 15th of May, and just take advantage of it. For instance, if you are a European company listening to this who has a great smart city solution which you want to share it with an Indian technology request, this is a great platform for you, and it goes vice versa. If you are an Indian company who has a technology request and want to explore the technology from Europe, you can use this platform to find your potential partner. So yeah, this is going to happen in the European Pavilion in Prahati Maidan from 20th to 22nd May. Okay, I'm giving the mic back to Mr. Dinesh. Thank you, Dinesh.
Thank you, Tamil. And before we go into the Q&A, there is a last slide, which is a contact detail of our visiting delegate, EU expert on smart city. This is Enya. So with that, let's open the floor for the Q&A. Please raise your hand, and then sequentially we will go for, okay, here comes Mr. Kishore Narang. I will give you the mic, Mr. Narang. Go ahead with your question.
Hello. I've already actually sent you the question. My question is very simple. is it not important to review and customization of the ISO standard before adopting them in any nation? And is Poland undergoing that review and customization before adopting?
Okay.
Mr. Narang, thank you for your question. The question was, is it important to customize ISO standards before adopting them in a country, and whether Poland has customized the ISO standards to Polish realities? To answer this question, sorry?
Yeah, correct you are.
Okay, great. To answer your first question, there is always a process of bringing the standards to a certain reality. There's a bit of give and take, as it were, but in general we prefer that to understand standards as an international benchmark to which every country, no matter their internal realities, try to strive towards this this quality standard. In Poland, for instance, we have adopted the standard as is, and we encourage our cities to understand that this is the international standard and their services must be up to this standard. So we have not made an attempt to modify this. However, I do want to underline that India is an extremely large actor, both in terms of its city development, its obviously population weight. There may be a system of adaptation possible. You will have to put this question to the Bureau of Indian Standards. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Anya. And
Thank you.
She has broadly covered, BIS, as you know, the process to go for an adoption is, one is 100% adoption, second is technically equivalent, and third is the modification. So this is where we are meeting with them. We are telling them to work with this ISO committee and brought up their Indian requirement so that it could be discussed on a global platform. And as you know, standard is not a done deal. It's an evolving, continuous process. So if there is a requirement from India, and if we believe that need to be put down the global platform, so there are various ways and means by which we can address. Thank you very much, and I go to the next question, Krishna. Mr. Krishna, my dear, go ahead with your question. I am unmuting your mic, and Mr. Krishna, Krishna, please go ahead.
Yeah. Dinesh, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Anya, I have seen your presentation. Thanks a lot. And Dinesh, thanks for organizing this. My question is, so when you said we are integrating, who is this we? Is it the third party or the HC itself? When you're doing that in Gdansk,
okay,
how are you integrating? Who is enabling that?
Okay.
Thank you. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Anya.
Great. Mr. Dayala, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you for your question. The question was, once again, who are the actors integrating the urban operating system that I showed in the Gdańsk example, the Project ACES. So the Project ACES is a consortium of 120 companies which have an MOU with the city of Gdańsk. And the city of Gdańsk has given them the opportunity to create this operating system and to have it integrated within Gdańsk municipal structures. So basically, the actors integrating this are on one side the engineers, the software engineers who are creating this Project ACES, and on the other side it is the city authorities which are bringing this Project ACES into their system, into their operating system, and basically using it to modify the efficiency in which services are run.
And to add to this, which she highlighted in the presentation, the purpose of creating coordination group at Sense, Sanalac and ITSI was to bring all the inputs and integrate them, because there are standards which exist today. And that is what this group has done it. They have consolidated a report and they're trying to bring in all the available standard and then take on from there. So ECA's example is a good example, but Sense, Sanalac and ITSI, through their coordination group, are also consolidating all those available standards. Is that correct, Anya?
Yes, that is correct.
Thanks. Does this answer your question, Mr. Dayala?
Yes, Dinesh, thank you.
Okay, we have we have a question here. One of a few of our audience is sitting here, and we have Ruth Anna from German organization called GIZ. So she has a question. Please, Anna.
I have a question which is going to this, what I would say, it's a top-down approach. Yeah, you firstly design the standards for the smart cities, and you design also, or it is clear what are the core indicators of a smart cities. But there are the subsystems, there are even going down, very clear there has to be standards for road conditions, for street lamps and so on and so on. And my question is, in regard to looking to India, what would you say is, or do you deal with this looking in future, how much, say, of subsystem standards should be developed, or should it be on the same time developed, on the one hand the standard for smart cities, on the other hand on subsystems, even going down? How should this be interlinked in, say, in time frame, in how to continue in that?
Okay, thank you very much for people not around the table. That was Ruth Anna Brutzner. She is the director of the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, which is the German Sustainable Development Organization. Thank you for your question. The question was was related to the time frame. What do you develop first? Do you develop first the subsystem standards? Do you develop first the larger smart city indicators? We have a way of saying this in Polish. It's po omacku, and I hope somebody is from Poland and is smiling right now. In terms of the project ACRE, I have a very clear timeline what has been developed first, second, third, and last, actually. One moment. So in terms of just the project ACRE, we have started with developing the integration platform. So we have begun with developing the IS, the operating system. Afterwards, we adopted what we call legacy subsystems, so the existing energy, the existing transport, the existing healthcare subdomains. To these existing subdomains, we have developed an interface. After we develop this interface, we have integrated this legacy subsystem, the interface, to the operating system that we have worked on first. This has created, as it were, a chain of command. And then finally, you develop more applications to the operating system as a last project, as it were, of this project ACRE. So within this smart city architecture, you begin with adopting the legacy systems. You begin with creating first the operating system, adopting the legacy subsystems, creating an interface to the legacy subsystems, integrating these legacy subsystems to the platform that you've developed first, and then developing other applications to the platform. This is in the technical explanation. The more strategic, high-level explanation is that, of course, you develop a certain idea of what you want in your smart city at the same time as you are developing the technical standards for the subsystem. In fact, the British Standards Institute has this lovely little graphic, which is a box, and we see that this box has at the top layer the vision, the smart city vision, and then below the box, on the same time, there are several layers which are both strategic, operational, and finally standards. This is a wonderful little graphic or cartoon you can find a little bit everywhere, and which truly very well illustrates the idea that these standards are developed at the same time. Thank you very much, and I hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you, Anya. And now we go, considering the available time. Mr. Stalian from Fraunhofer, please. I'll unmute. Please go ahead.
Hello, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation as well. My question goes actually a bit more focused and in particular on this working group that you have on energy management systems. You mentioned the working name of the standard CD37101. In this respect, my question is what kind of incentives are these standards going to set up for utilities and equipment manufacturers to participate as co-creators of these standards, and later on to introduce technology solutions that are going to be obeying the standards?
I didn't catch.
Is your question is the ISO standard which you talked about, 37120, which has 101 indicators, and out of which 47 are core and 53 are supportive. Are you saying that how this will be implemented or how you could contribute it? I mean, could you please clarify again your question?
Yes. My question basically is what would be the participation of utility companies and equipment manufacturers in order to implement those standards in smart cities? Because basically there is like a huge difference between India and Europe, and in India right now utilities don't really get involved into energy management systems.
Okay. Very good question, and I think you and we both agree that the complex system India has it. But to simplify a question, we have met BIS earlier, Bureau of Indian Standard, and we are going to meet them again today. We are telling them that they need to adopt this concept of coordination group, which means they need to bring the different stakeholders under one umbrella. And to tell you what they have done is they have created an ad hoc working group right now, which had conducted a meeting in first week of March, which was attended by some key people from India from different industry. And I think few of them were there from the manufacturing industry who participated in that first ad hoc working group. Their target is to bring all the stakeholders under one umbrella, and then they establish this technical committee, which will have a permanent membership with the ISO 37120, and then they will bring the Indian specific requirement to the global platform or take the global standard and amend it from the Indian context. So work has started. And that is a good platform where all the Indian manufacturers or indigenous or Indian manufacturers should go and participate. I have the contact details. I can connect with the right people in the BIS if anybody is interested. So to answer your question, that is the platform where all these stakeholders, including manufacturers, academicians, different verticals, because you highlighted also that we are talking about bringing a different industry under one umbrella. So it's a difficult task, but the work has started, work has begun, but probably we all should work together and take this forward with the BIS. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. With that, I move to the next question from Nirant. Okay, Nirant, Mog from... Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Dinesh and Anya?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Dinesh, for making this exciting presentation. It looks like the ISO 37120 standard, it looks like some kind of an intent base because they specify indicators. And as I understand from your presentation that Acre tries to satisfy the KPI values for services specified in the ISO standard. So that's a very good effort. So I have a two-part question based on this background. While you're trying to successfully deploy a cross-domain service based on this ISO standard, what kind of challenges and gaps you observed? maybe from your ACE's experience. And the second part of the question is, what is the scale of ACES in terms of services from different industries? How much services are you integrating?
Okay. And yeah, your expertise are needed.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. To rephrase the question, or to say the question again, this was a two-part question. First one was about what challenges we see right now in terms of implementing standards on the cross-domain basis, especially cross-domain services. And second question was how many services are added to these standards. So in terms of ISO 37120, we have 18 domains. I'm sorry, we have 17 domains. So these are the type of services, as they say, au sens large, which means services in a very global terms, because we have there speaking about energy, we have fire department, we have shelter for homeless people, etc. So how many services within the ISO 17? In practice, you can add much more services, of course. Many services are based on what is the unique specificity of that given city. Some cities, for instance, are religious sites. These religious sites require different types of services than are in this ISO standard. As an example. So this will be for your second question. The first question about what challenges we see in the cross-domain, so far we have seen two large challenges. One is the challenge for which the standards answer, which is the challenges of interoperability, also challenges of vendor lock-in, of basically having incompatible systems, legacy systems which will not work with forward-looking operating system. So standards answer the questions of interoperability, but we also see a different challenge actually. And this different challenge, I call it kind of the engineer mindset, is that actually we can do everything ad hoc. So this is the ad hoc answer for this service, or the ad hoc, let's say, way to piece between this domain and this operating system. And we're slowly building the idea that instead of having 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 different ad hoc solutions, let's have one standard solution. Everybody will then be able to create better applications, better platforms, and add more services to the main operating center once this challenge actually of adding, of the cross-domain services is tackled. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, in a way, I think, thank you for your answer, and I understand this challenge that you're specifying, because we were working on within an Indian context and also within the global context on enabling this cross-domain services, and we totally understand that the whole platform which tries to build these currently are more on an ad hoc way, and it needs some kind of an integral way of doing it. So one of the, I just want to bring notice to all the people who are joined in this call. One of the efforts in doing that was basically software integration, and one other efforts from standards has been one project in IEEE, which is called as NGSON, which is trying to provide a framework for creating the standard operating system which can integrate multi-industry services. So just for your information, so that we could discuss this further.
Totally agree.
Thank you, Anya, and thank you, Dinesh.
Totally agree with you, Nirant. I mean, I cannot say anything more on it. It's truly a biggest challenge. We are struggling to fix it. But thank you very much. We have one more question from Krishna. Okay, let me go to Krishna first. Okay, Krishna, please go ahead. Krishna.
Dinesh, I know I think already we are exceeding on the time, but a quick one on the challenges. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thanks. First, I know we are exceeding on the time, but my question is on the challenges. How are these existing application vendors giving their API to you, and what is in it for them? Are they really willing to give you? Because we are facing problems from the existing vendors itself, though we are paying them for the O&M.
Huh. Good question. Okay. as you may imagine, the fact that we have this very detailed internal structure available for us with this Project ACUS already hints at this fact that this Project ACUS is being set up as an open standards or an open source urban operating system. As every open source system, it is in competition with systems which are vendor led, vendor specific. What's interesting here that this Project ACUS basically is like the Linux of urban operating systems, which is why we have as a word the internal structure and the architecture. It's also an example. Indeed, the vendor systems or vendor systems supported by vendors have also a very similar structure within them, which is not available to be discussed openly, or to be, or at least not on this webinar. And what kind of actions we have from the vendors? I think they probably expected something like this. There will be always an open source opportunity available for every operating system which is being developed. Dinesh, is there anything more you'd like to add?
I mean, it's the best question. I like it. You know, when you talk about open source and the RAND or the FRAN or the closed system, but this challenge is there. But what I can say is, I think you are aware of it. One of the challenge, which is machine to machine, which is again an application. When you talk about the one M2M partnership project, is the reason why it was put in place in July 2012, because the target was to create a platform which is open. People come and plug and play. You know, you have to make that innovation to evolve, and that will only evolve when you have a platform which is kind of common platform. People come and start playing with the application, generate the application, and make the revenue from its uses. Easy to say, difficult to get it done. We all know even in 1M2M, there is still the efforts are happening on a proprietary basis. So unless and until the system doesn't becomes mature, and the time will make them mature for sure, this struggle will remain there, that how to make these application developer to come forward and develop applications. But I think we are moving in the right directions through project like ACUS or through project like one M2M partnership project. But there will be both open as well as closed. Krishna, I think you are well aware of it, and we keep discussing about this as well. Thank you. Does this answer your question, Krishna?
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh. And we see that same point. Yeah.
Thank you, Krishna. I move to the last question considering the available time. But please, if anybody has any question, feel free to write. You have the email ID of Anya, and then you will have the email ID also mentioned for me. I'll send it to you, to all the users. Please feel free. So I go to the last question now to Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Jubair. Please go ahead with your question. Mr. Jubair, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss.
Yeah, this is Dr. Rajlakshmi from IIT Hyderabad. So we are in a group hearing to the seminar.
Okay, please go ahead, ma'am, with your question.
Yeah. So the question is, how about the security issues in, smart cities? Does the standard, whatever the 37.1 about the security issues?
Yes. So, for example, you got to see that security from the vertical you're talking about. For example, if you talk about from a smart grid point of view, they are working security as one of the activity. Similarly, when you talk about machine-to-machine, security is getting integrated into those platforms. But it's easy to say. Now we are also targeting this challenge of cyber security, which is a horizontal issue, or which is a horizontal topic. So for cyber security, the efforts are happening again on a similar concept. The way in Europe we have established smart and sustainable community coordination group, there is a coordination group on cyber security. So again, cybersecurity, because it does include IT, it does include telecommunication, it has a different vertical. So there is a consolidation happening in Europe for a cybersecurity point of view. So that cybersecurity is planning to have all these different verticals or different aspects of addressing the security. So to answer your question, vertically, application-wise or product-wise, it is addressed. But then now we are talking going to the next level of a cybersecurity level, where we are bringing again these stakeholders and contribute to develop the cybersecurity related standards. With that, Anya has something to add on top of it. Please, Anya.
Perfect, Dinesh, for underlining the key issue of cybersecurity in each single facet here in the smart city architecture. I just want to add one more issue. We are in ISO. There is also much discussion on urban security. And in fact, if you can take down a few numbers and letters here if you're interested in this, there is a new committee draft. It's called ISO/CD for committee draft. 22316, that's CD 22316. This committee draft is called Societal Security, Organizational Resilience, Principles and Guidelines. Societal Security, Organizational Resilience, Principles and Guidelines. So you see that ISO is also working on a more holistic understanding of security beyond the stricto sensu cybersecurity, which is obviously key in smart cities also. Thank you. I hope we've answered your questions.
Thank you for
one question before.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Before you go away, from an administration point of view, my admin gentleman is saying, how many people are sitting in the group, just for the sake of his, how many people are there in your group, ma'am, if it's okay to tell us.
Oh, okay, so we are from IIT Hyderabad. I am a faculty in the Department of Electrical Engineering. And we have a bunch of PhD and master students who are working in, smart projects, particularly cyber physical systems and IoT related projects.
Good. Thank you very much. How many are in
the cyber physical system?
Just how many?
So, we have around, right now we have, 3 PhD students and 3 master students along with me. 6 of us, 6 plus 1, 7 of us attending this seminar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. With that, we close the session. Thank you very much, guys. As I said, if you have any additional question, email ID will be shared. Can I mention the email ID here? Can I mention it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, when the presentation will be shared, I can enter it. Okay. So you already have email ID of Anya, and this is my local email ID. If you have any question, feel free to let us know. Just a sec. Okay. EU standards.in. Please feel free to write to me or Anya or both of us. Doesn't matter. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. A copy of the presentation will be shared among all the users registered or attended. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.